Um, okay, welcome to today's orchestrator meeting. So the first topic is that I would ask if we can improve this meeting here a bit. If we have any ideas how to improve this meeting, how we can get more out of it, and how can we not waste our times here, or yeah. So in the past we've made use of this Etherpad to create an agenda for this orchestrator meeting. And so I would propose to just continue with this and allow just everyone to add new agenda entries to this Etherpad so we can, talk about stuff.
Yeah, I think it works well as well. And the alternative might be a Google Doc, but I don't think that would really add anything we don't already use. So I think this sounds good to keep using it.
Okay.
Agree. For my part, I think that it is working. Even I thought that it was working right now. So because I use the Etherpad every time we have a meeting.
Okay. Perfect.
And
So it's just the user suspects here. I'm a bit missing others from outside, like Alfredo, or Joshua, or Sage. Anyway, if you have any other ideas, then just speak up, or I think we can just continue with the Rook orchestrator.
Okay, I'll go with the Rook Orchestrator then. Just a couple of notes for what's happening this week. So Noah's PR around Mons, running Mons on PVs has merged. So Noah, anything you want to bring up here about that? There's a change to the CR, but support that.
Yeah, that's basically the only thing to know.
Yep, just specify the persistent volume claim template, and the Mons will start up PVs. Yep. And then related to that, starting the OSDs on PVs so it's a separate PR, hoping to have that done this week. And once that's done, the only thing left running on the host path would be collecting of logs and crash dumps. And I think we'll save that for a separate discussion about the right way to collect those if we create separate PVs or whatever. So as far as how we expose this in the orchestrator module, maybe that would be worth thinking through, since this really only applies probably to Kubernetes environments. It's not sort of a general pattern for other orchestrators that's specific to Kubernetes. So thing to think about.
What exactly do we need to expose to Ceph itself? Is there anything in addition to what we already have?
Well, so today, basically what we expose is the settings that would allow you to deploy OSDs on raw devices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or do we even still have the option to use directories? But there's nothing exposed that would allow you to build PVs if you're in a Kubernetes environment. It'd have to be some sort of other setting which comes down from the dashboard that says, oh, I see that this is a Kubernetes environment. Allow the user to select using this storage class, so we know how to generate the PVs.
From the orchestrator perspective, it would really make sense to have one unified API for both.
Right, and I think we'd have to expose it through the orchestrator API, otherwise it doesn't make it up to the dashboard. But if this only applies to Kubernetes, is there some, I guess other orchestrators would just ignore it, or the dashboard would have to only expose some UI around it if it is Kubernetes. If something is specific to an orchestrator, do we have a story around doing something specific in the dashboard for that platform? I think that's maybe what the question boils down to.
Do we have anyone working or work on PVs in the European or Asian Pacific time zone?
The guys working on OSDs on PVs are in India.
Oh, that's cool.
Right.
Can you make them join the Wednesday's orchestrator meeting?
Oh, sure.
Because Kiefer from the dashboard team is also joining that meeting. And if we need something specific for PVs for the dashboard, then it might make sense to sync up there.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to them about that and joining that call. Yeah, I'll check if their schedule is open for this Wednesday or next Wednesday, I guess, if it doesn't work.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yep. Yeah, we should definitely follow up on that. Sounds good.
Okay.
Right, and next, your CR validation PR.
Yeah. I've tried to make use of the CRD validation and generate some API code. And yeah, that revealed about 3 bugs in the Rook orchestrator of things that were never implemented or are already gone or stuff like that.
And does that PR depend on the one on the Rook side, or
no, this basically copies the generation into the Ceph repository. That's not ideal, but it makes sure we are not depending on each other.
Right, that's true.
If we have both there, then we can unify them pretty easily. As the code that's shared is basically identical. Not ideal, but I think it's okay for the moment.
Yeah, that sounds fine. On that Rook PR though, with the schema, there is a failure. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet though, but it seemed like it didn't like was it the null type that's set in there, which it should be valid, but I'm not sure why it thinks it's not.
Yeah, I've looked into the documentation and nullable is there. So I really don't know why it is not there in the CI. So
right.
I just don't know.
And perhaps, sometimes the CI has strange failures because white space is wrong. So maybe there's just white space issue or something other that.
A trivial fix would just to be omitting those properties. But that also would not be ideal,
Right, because if if it's nullable, that means that we don't need those settings don't need to be set in the CR, which would give us probably better or fewer errors when people upgrade, right? If the
Yeah.
settings weren't set before.
So to be nullable is something different than to be omitted and to be an empty object. That's different. So usually you're setting an empty object if you don't want to specify any content, or you're omitting that property altogether. But setting it to null is something special.
And say that again. When you set it to null, what behavior would you expect?
So the behavior depends on the rook operator, but setting a property to the empty object or setting it to null or omitting it is I think there are 3 different cases here, and we're making use of every case in a way, which is not bad, but we have to deal it in the CID a bit, in the CID validation.
Yeah, I'll try and take a look at that error again today too to see what's up with the CI.
Mm-hmm.
Be great to get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Paul Kastner had sent an email to dev@, .io regarding adding events to Ceph, and I really think they relate to the orchestrator because I saw the Ceph cluster CRD mentioned in that code by Paul Kastner. Is that right? Do you have anyone has some insight in that effort?
I've seen some email from him on it. So it's about raising the Kubernetes events so that they can be more. Let's see. No, it's about raising the Ceph events as Kubernetes events.
Yeah. I know we had a conversation about this a couple months ago, and the thinking then was that you might want to do this even if you're not using Rook. You might just want to raise Kubernetes events even if Rook isn't necessarily the orchestrator.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one reason to separate it. And there's also this sort of separate question too. If you have a single Ceph cluster and multiple Kubernetes clusters are consuming storage from it, like where you send the events, or even if you send the events to multiple places. It just wasn't clear that it like directly mapped onto Rook.
I saw the Ceph cluster CID mentioned in that code, so I thought that it's related to Rook.
It could be. I didn't look at the code.
Yeah, I need to look closer at it, honestly.
It seems like probably if Rook is deploying Ceph, then Rook would probably configure this module point back to the itself or the same Kubernetes it's running in. I guess.
Right. If other clusters are consuming the storage, they probably wouldn't need all the Ceph events. Just whatever cluster is managing Ceph would the events.
Yeah.
The Rook module itself is already configuring itself to the current Rook environment with environment variables, and I saw the exact same code in Kastner's code base. So might make sense to unify that. Anyway, we can discuss it on the pull request if he creates one.
Has he joined the Wednesday call? Do you know? Because this Monday call
he
is
didn't.
not a good time for him.
He didn't.
Mm-hmm.
No, he didn't. Anyway.
Yeah, I'll try and, or I'll point that meeting out to him as well. That'd be good to talk about there.
Okay. Yeah. As a Sage orchestrator, I did some investigation into deploying a cluster local with Podman. I have not yet been able to create a quorum, but I think the code itself, yeah, looks promising. Nothing really terrible right now.
Why weren't you able to create the? Was it? What happened? Like, why didn't it work?
Yeah, some configuration of the monitor is missing or is wrong.
Oh, okay.
It depends on if we want to rely on a ceph.conf or not.
I think no. We should make it so that there's no status installed on the host system, except in varlib ceph cluster ID or something like that. I think that'd be the cleanest. Yeah.
At least the ceph CLI expects ceph.conf, and it's a bit hard to make it not use a ceph.conf.
You should just be able to patch -c with the config or pass the relevant stuff like the monitor IP and whatever else. Hearing.
Yeah, very early work. And finally, I've cherry-picked some commits for iSCSI and NFS configuration for the dashboard into Nautilus for the deep-sea orchestrator. That's all I have.
The Ceph daemon tool, is that in a is that still just in a branch, or is there a PR open on it or something?
No, it's just a branch.
Yeah, okay.
I can share that branch. This one.
Yeah, I think we just want to get the usage interface right. Cool. Cool. Okay. Thanks.
So I will be on vacation next 2 weeks. So if anyone wants to continue working on that.
Starting next week?
Starting basically today.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Enjoy.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds great.
Yep.
Cool.
I added a item to the agenda. Last second item. Put it on the Etherpad. So maybe Sage can chime in here. I've been trying to. So we have this issue in Rook where when we're building the Ceph comps, we're using IPs for the initial monitor list. And some of the things we'd like to do to refactor some of the mon stuff, that causes a bootstrapping issue where we'd like to, we'd like to do something, but at that point we don't necessarily have the IP addresses. And so we've been trying to figure out if we can just use DNS for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten some mixed answers when asking around about this.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Well, this is for the initial bring up when you're creating the first set of monitors.
That is one case. But we also do that when we bring up new monitors. So I guess if they're two distinct phases, then we could talk about each one.
Yeah. Let's do that. Maybe. Can you be a little bit more specific about what the?
Yeah. So basically the issue is that there's a mode in Kubernetes where we can create a portable IP for a monitor pod. And this is great because we can create all our pods and just have them bind to this portable IP. But when we use host networking, we need to create the config file at the time we create the pod. But the bootstrapping issue has to do with scheduling. So right now we do explicit scheduling. We know where we're going to put it, so we know the IP ahead of time. But we want to move to Kubernetes-oriented scheduling. So like when we create the pod, we're not going to know where Kubernetes is going to put it beforehand. And so yeah, DNS would solve that, or maybe, I don't know, maybe there's other ways to solve it.
DNS is probably the easiest way. You're right. So your mon host mon initial members just has the names of the pods of the monitors.
Right now it has the IPs.
Mon initial members should be, remember, is a list of names, and then mon host is a list of IPs.
Okay, then I just have it backwards. But yeah.
But yeah, I think if you just use DNS, as long as we know that the DNS will be updated and correct by the time the pod actually does start up and therefore exists and the query happens, like that there's not some like annoying race condition there, then it should be okay. That's probably the simplest way.
Yeah, Rook was created, it's always had this assumption that we need the IP addresses for the mons, and it's just a fundamental part of the identity for them. So if we can get away from that, then yeah, it would solve some of these scheduling challenges and let us use Kubernetes scheduling. That's the goal, really.
And about this race condition
I'm not sure it's a race. I think it's just an ordering. Like as long as the DNS isn't like doing some caching thing, or if you look up the service, because say you're starting 3 monitors, the first one starts up, it does the DNS lookup, it returns the one IP, and then the second monitor starts up and does the same DNS lookup. As long as the DNS server doesn't like return the one result and not the 2 results, then it should be okay.
I mean, okay, it's getting a little detailed, but I mean, I think the high level was that we'd have like an A record or something, and then Kubernetes registers the IPs of each of the pods. So I think for clients that just point to a single A record, they just get round robin, but maybe we can special case the mons themselves, I think is what you're kind of thinking about. So that there's still a nation of posts.
Well, what the clients would normally do is if you have 5 monitors, they just get 5 A records.
Yeah.
And the client will just randomly pick 1 or 2 or whatever it does.
But you're saying we need to be specific for the monitors themselves.
The monitors will probably be confused if they think, if they're trying to do their initial bootstrap. This is just true during MakeFS, but if they're doing their initial cluster deployment and it does a lookup and it gets a smaller set of IP addresses, then it's going to mean it's going to form a smaller quorum.
Okay. I
And then
see.
the other ones are they're gonna go and add themselves in, but maybe it actually might not matter. But it probably, if you were to start like 3 monitors all at once, they might not form a quorum properly. If you start one of them and you let it do its full bootstrap and actually form the quorum and create the cluster, and then you add monitors, I think it'll probably be okay.
Luckily, I think we have that behavior anyways, so we just do one at a time. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yep.
All right. Cool.
So,
Yep.
I mean, it is my understanding, at least from talking to Joao, that like part of the monitor's identity is still the IP address, which, I mean, we can still find the monitors from DNS, but I mean, to my understanding, I think we still would have to like create a new monitor ID if we're moving it to a new like
Yeah.
a new host.
Yeah. Yes. But if you are, again, the cluster creation one is the tricky one because it was designed so that you could have like n monitors come up in parallel and correctly form a quorum. And so there's some weirdness there. But in general, setting that aside, if you're adding monitors, the monitor comes up, it will talk to the existing monitors and add itself in a sort of a safe, structured way. That part, I think, is at least will work. But it does need to, in that case, you have to, in order for that to work properly, you have to specify like public network, like a net mask or something, so it knows which IP on the host or in the pod to bind to as its like official IP.
But we're saying, so after the cluster's running, after the mons are in quorum, we can't move a mon to another node because it would get a new IP address if we're using host networking. Right.
Yeah, you'd create a new one, it would add itself in, and you'd delete the old one, and it would remove itself.
Right. So we would need to do that failover scenario instead of just move the pod.
Yeah.
That's fine. We use the node select. We have that affinity, hard affinity there in those cases anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Cool. Okay.
Sounds good. Anything else then?
Nope.
Then
I guess
see you
we'll
next
call it.
week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.
See you in 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Great.
vacations.
Bye.
Be
Bye-bye.
nice.